Shaq, let's start with this one. And at half-time, Liverpool should have been more than a goal up. They weren't. They were profligate in front of goal, like the FA Cup tie, and ended up 2-1 down. So they get a point out of it, but they'll feel like they should have had 3, but they nearly ended up with none. What did you make of it today?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I feel so much of today's game replicated what we saw in the FA Cup. And at the time, I remember I was on FC after that FA Cup game. I described Liverpool as being a little bit arrogant when they were in the lead. And I was starting to feel that way when they were 1-up. I thought you saw the tempo, Liverpool's tempo, certainly in the attacking third and the way they pass the ball, just drop a little bit and focus more on possession, which I never really feel is what Liverpool are about. They keep the tempo high and they run you into the ground. But all of a sudden, they started getting to the edge of the box and then bringing the ball all the way back out. In fact, that's exactly how Manchester United's opening goal came. In comfortable possession, just outside of Manchester United's box, Liverpool kind of recirculated the ball all the way back across. And yes, Kwanzaa should have gotten his head up and had a little look around. But I felt that mistake was a little bit symptomatic of how Liverpool had been playing for 5 or 10 minutes before. Credit Bruno Fernandes for his anticipation and finish, but I thought so much of it was Liverpool's own doing. And then all of a sudden, while at 1-0 with Liverpool in the lead, I thought you'd seen the wind kind of go out of Manchester United's sail. All of a sudden, that goal brought this tie back to life, and Liverpool Liverpool then kind of struggled to re-find their own rhythm.
Yeah, 14 shots, Gab, for Liverpool in the first half, just the one goal. Not one shot from Manchester United. First time that's happened in the Premier League at Old Trafford since October 2015. So what changed in the second half?
Well, I think for all of Erik Ten Hag's ills and failings, which so many people have pointed out, I think it's still pretty obvious that this team, they still kind of listen to him when they're on the pitch, and they don't give up, and they keep trying. And when you're gifted a goal out of, I don't want to say out of nothing, because obviously it's out of Kwanzaa's mistake, but it's also out of the fact that Bruno Fernandes has the foresight and the chutzpah to go and shoot from there. All of a sudden, crowd gets back into it, and you really believe even more that you can get back into the game. A lot of this is on emotion. And yeah, I agree to your point with what Shaka said. I don't blame United for saying, all right, let's just kind of manage the game in the first 15 minutes of the second half. And at the hour mark, he's going to make, Ten Hag's eventually going to make his substitutions. And then, we'll score another couple goals and put this away. Although we really should have put it away in the first half with those 2 solid misses. I don't blame them so much. I mean, I think to some degree you have to manage, you have to kind of manage your energy, especially when, you've got big Europa League clash coming up on Thursday and you're in this title race. But I also kind of want to give credit to Manchester United for not giving in the first half. And then when they got that gift, kind of continuing to push and not crumbling after that either.
I make no apologies for going through this chronologically because there's a lot to get through. And Shaka, inside 60 seconds, there's that opportunity. Now, the ball ends up in the back of the net, but Bruno Fernandes has got to play it quicker. He's got to play it a step quicker before Garnacho's in an offside position. And if you remember the FA Cup time, McTominay gets the opening goal after 10 minutes, I think it was, for Manchester United. That was their opportunity. It was a very open first 5 minutes. That was the chance. And if there's one player you want to time the ball perfectly, it would be Bruno Fernandes, but not this time.
Yeah, listen, I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, for all of my criticism of Manchester United, particularly in that first half, I thought they started the game really, really well. As you would expect from Manchester United at Old Trafford against a heated rival like Liverpool. And yes, Bruno Fernandes could have done a little bit better in the timing of his pass, or maybe we want to say Garnacho could have just held off just a little bit more. But it certainly was a good start. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and be overly critical of either of those two players in the opening minutes, offsides happen. And while those are or can be potentially defining moments, at the same time, you've got to give the defending team a little bit of credit for how they read the game themselves. So I'm not about to cast blame on anybody for that, and certainly if it scores, it changes the early outlook. But these things happen. That's not an issue for me. More to the point, I thought Manchester United started really brightly, matched Liverpool in many departments. But then the old cliche, as any visiting team, you have to kind of ride out that opening 15 minutes and play your way into it. And I thought that's exactly what Liverpool did. They rode that early start from Manchester United, and from then in, it was their game to dictate, and I thought they did so. Building on from that, I thought, yes, you take the lead, but disappointing that not only do you not build on it because you had the chances to, but as I said, I just felt at times Liverpool seemed to more want to control the game than kill it off, and I just don't think that's something that Liverpool do as well.
Before we get to the goals and analyse them, Gab, which of these first half chances for Liverpool do you think was the best one? 2.5 minutes gone. Salah to Szoboszlai, but well saved by Onana. 19th minute, Robertson's low cross from the left, Szoboszlai wide from 10 yards. 33 minutes, counter-attack, Luis Diaz to Salah, but he played it just behind him and the shot was saved. 35th minute, Nunez with the shot just over, and Salah firing over in the 36th minute.
I think probably the Szoboszlai one, set up by Robertson, and then also the Salah one at the end. It's Mo Salah after all. Even the one that was behind him, frankly, yeah. You are passing the ball to Mo Salah. You hold him to a higher standard. The chances were, you just rattled them off. What is that? Half a dozen?
Yeah.
Very clear-cut chances in the first half, in addition to the goal. If you're Liverpool, yeah, that's where you kick yourself. In fact, I have a little stress toy here that you're supposed to squeeze.
Have you broken it?
I might send it up to Anfield.
No wonder. What about the goal, Shaq? And from a goalkeeping perspective, there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to rely on whether you're zonal, whether you're man-to-man marking, players doing their job. And it's the flick on by Nunez from Robertson's corner. But Kobbie Mainoo's lost his man. Now, I don't want to be too critical of individuals. Things like that happen. But it must be so easy. All it takes is one breakdown in communication, and suddenly Liverpool have got the opening goal.
Listen, I have always been very critical of zonal marking from set pieces. And I know, I get the counter-argument that so many people throw about the stats and how it backs up zonal marking as opposed to man-to-man. I just feel that as a player, you have a responsibility for your man from that set piece. And in recognizing and carrying out that responsibility, I think it lends itself to other aspects of the game that you will always be counted, that you don't just pass your man off, you aren't just responsible for a zone. And this isn't just about set pieces. As I say, my belief is around wider aspects of the game. So I've never been a huge fan of it. I also think there's something to be said psychologically in a game where you are winning those one-on-one battles from set pieces, how that translates to other departments on the park during the course of a game. So from the time you see Manchester United line up the way that they are, you know that there's going to be a space somewhere around. And we've seen time and time again how in this game, a lot of times the old basketball style pick and roll, where a player just blocks the run of a defender to allow somebody else to run free. No pick and roll was needed here. Mainoo just loses his man. Diaz just peels off. And let's be honest, Diaz from set pieces isn't, you would think, that great a threat. But he finds space. So while everybody's attracted to that first ball, including those who started off fairly zonally, it just takes one little flick on, and Diaz, who's not going to trouble anybody in the air, is an acres of space, far post. Very good volley. Let's take nothing away from Diaz, from the finish. But again, for me, to see somebody that free in your box, set piece or not, is concerning.
Okay, we've had the analysis of the opening goal from Shaka. Gab, you can get the equaliser. And I want to take you back to last month. Liverpool played Manchester City. Conor Bradley started at right back. Jarell Quansah started at right centre back. And City identified that as an issue because they knew that Bradley was going to get forward and there'd be space in behind. I'm sure United did as well when they saw the team lineups. However, they couldn't exploit. And it was a mistake by Quansah, who was probably only playing because of a challenge by a Sheffield United player on Konate 3 days ago. Even though Konate was able to continue and finish the game, he was unable to play in this one. Does it go down just as one of those things, a mistake, or can you be more critical than that? And it's a really good finish by Bruno Fernandes.
It's obviously a mistake. The kid probably feels absolutely terrible now. I think he obviously does see Bruno. I think what he misjudges, obviously it's a mistake on the pass. He probably also, Bruno is not the quickest player, but he's also not immobile. And I think that's what happens. He gets his spacing wrong. Maybe he scanned a little too early and then hit the pass. Whatever. I think these things happen. They're the kind of things that are infuriating. Sometimes, though, when I see a mistake that is so craven, so extreme, I think as a coach or somebody analyzing it, you're not even going to be that harsh on them because it's so uncharacteristic, right? It's such an obvious error. I mean, Shaka, tell me, this isn't even something. Sometimes we see goalkeepers make howlers. It's not something where the manager even needs to talk to them, right? When it's so extreme like that.
Yeah, I absolutely. I'm with you, Gab. It's a mistake. It'll go down as a Quansah mistake, rightly so. I don't think Klopp has an awful lot to say about it, other than listen, if you're going to miss-hit a pass, miss-hit it behind Virgil van Dijk, because that way, if he's put under pressure, he can just knock it back to Kelleher. So that's the only kind of learning point I think that Jurgen Klopp shares with Quansah here. He doesn't make this too much of an issue, even though Quansah may be feeling terribly about it. As I said, I felt that mistake came as a result of other issues for Liverpool. And again, mistakes are part of the game. It's kind of what premeditates that. And I feel that Liverpool themselves had just stopped pressing Manchester United forward as we know they can. And all of a sudden, that kind of lull, it brings the mistake.
I think that's a good point, Shaq, because in the 54th minute, 4 minutes after that equalising goal, United, through a mistake by Garnacho, basically left themselves with a 2 against 5, and Liverpool made a mess of it. Darwin Núñez, it wasn't a shot, it wasn't a cross, it was a nothing. He could have cut it back and it might have ended up with a goal. But then they didn't get another chance until Manchester United took the lead. Now, to your point with Manchester United taking the lead, just seeing Van Dijk and Robertson afterwards, and especially seeing Jurgen Klopp, when you see the high angle, there's far too much of a gap between the defence, which is holding a good line, but the midfield. Endo doesn't make the challenge, and it's a brilliant finish from Mainoo. Could you have seen it coming, given what Shaq's said, Gab?
Okay, so I saw this. I saw Klopp absolutely furious. I saw Robertson, but I saw what we all saw.
Yep.
And here I'm going to defer to the people who played at the highest level or kept goal against people who could do stuff like this. Yes, could they have gotten closer? Could they have been more proactive? Maybe. But, I mean, Mainoo still has an absolute ton to do. Mm-hmm. And I think there's also something about you do not expect an 18-year-old kid to get the ball, turn, and whip a finish like that. I mean, am I wrong here? I'm just wondering, is this narrative being led by the fact that Klopp was so angry? And obviously, he knows more than we do. But, I mean, I thought that was pretty good. I think this is a very low percentage shot.
Oh, it's a great goal. But what we're trying to analyze is what was Klopp angry about the most, Shaka?
He's angry because Liverpool did not close his spaces, starting in midfield. This isn't it. And again, the kind of knock